Hello everyone, Douglas Ducote here. My new book, From Baton Rouge to Baghdad and Back, is available now at Walmart, Amazon, Google, iTunes. Please check it out. I had the opportunity to either write about my 4 combat tours and the horrors of war like everyone else does, or I chose to write about the humorous side of military service. So there are stories about things that I experienced in Operation Desert Storm and Operation Just Cause down in Panama and everything in between. The funny things that I went through and I lived through. The things that require basically a sixth sense of humor to get by. So this is a great gift for anyone that you know that's served in the United States military, as well as those that just like to read things that are funny. My whole purpose was to make you laugh. And if this book, From Baton Rouge to Baghdad and Back, makes you laugh, then it was worth my time and effort in writing it. So please check it out. You can buy the book starting today at Walmart, Amazon, Google, iTunes, and Barnes & Noble. Thank you and God bless.
I, Douglas Ducote, an American patriot by the grace of God, do solemnly swear to support and defend the Constitution of the United States of America from enemies foreign and especially domestic. I, Douglas Ducote, an American patriot by the grace of God, do solemnly swear to support and defend the Constitution of the United States of America from enemies foreign and especially domestic.
Say it with me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Today, Donald Trump shared a post on Truth Social calling for Democratic members of Congress to be hanged. He also posted a message that said, seditious behavior, punishable by death. Let's be crystal clear. The President of the United States is calling for the execution of elected officials. This is an outright threat, and it's deadly serious. We've already seen what happens when Donald Trump tells his followers that his political opponents are enemies of the state. Every time Donald Trump posts things like this, he makes political violence more likely. None of us should tolerate this kind of behavior. We all remember what January 6th was like. We lived through January 6th. We've lived through the assassination and attempted assassinations this year. We have members whose families have had to flee their homes. When Donald Trump uses the language of execution and treason, some of his supporters may very well listen. He is lighting a match in a country soaked with political gasoline. Every senator, every representative, every American, regardless of party, should condemn this immediately and without qualification. Because if we don't draw a line here, there is no line left to draw. Who would have thought the President of the United States saying his opponent should be hanged? It's outrageous. No president has ever stooped as low as Donald Trump. None. He has made political violence a feature of his politics. And if we don't draw a line here, there's no line left to draw. And yet today he crossed yet another line that no democracy can afford to tolerate. He must be condemned forcefully, loudly, and without excuses before someone takes his words as permission to do the unthinkable.
And that, my friends, is what a true hypocrite looks like and sounds like. Not a single mention of his own party or him lies that saw 2 assassination attempts on President Trump's life, and one of them actually hitting him. Not a single mention of his own party's lies that got Charlie Kirk killed. Not a single mention of his own party's lies that are responsible for the physical attacks every single day against our brave men and women in law enforcement, to include ICE and the Border Patrol, and some of them killed. Not a single mention of his own party's lies that have resulted in the assault, battery, and even murder of many supporters of President Trump. Not a single mention of his and his party's lies, calling Trump, his administration, and all of us that supported Trump Nazis, racist, bigots, white supremacists, extremists, insurrectionists, corrupt criminals, anti-women, anti-LGBTQ, anti-immigrant, fascist, a threat to democracy, comparing Trump and his supporters to Adolf Hitler. Not a single mention of why President Donald Trump posted what he posted on Truth Social. His own party calling for our military to refuse their commander-in-chief's orders. Hypocrisy on full display for all Americans to see and hear. Chucky boy, by the time I'm done tonight, you and your pack of radical, far-left, liberal, incompetent, subhuman, parasite, clueless, wannabe, revolutionary Democrats are going to need a plastic surgeon to wipe the frowns off your faces. Though honestly, there's only so much a surgeon can do with the stupidity on the faces of you idiots. But first, you had to make a pleasure to be tonight. You chose to be here with me, and for that, I am forever grateful. I thank you very, very much. Regardless of where you're watching me tonight, whether it's on the YouTube channel, the Rumble channel, the X channel, please like, subscribe, tell your friends and family about the show, share the videos, and share the channel. I had another, today made the 19th surgery to remove cancer. So I'm a little sore, and I'm also a little medicated, pain-wise. So it's going to be a fun night, I'm sure. But I thank you for being here. And the new book, Baton Rouge to Baghdad and Back, is out, as you saw in the beginning of tonight's show. The holidays fast approaching. I hope that you will go out and purchase the book. If you have friends or family that served in the military, Trust me, they can relate to everything I talk about in this book. It's the funny things that I experienced during my service in the military. And if you just like a good laugh, well, this will help you. So let's dive deep into this. And boy, do we have some deep diving to do here tonight. I'm going to put these radical House and Senate Democrats in check. And I'm going to lay out exactly what took place. They're not going to like it because they can't handle facts and they can't handle the truth, especially the far left liberals that support the Democrat Party. We have a serious problem in the United States Congress, in both the House and the Senate, some of which have been exposed on this show for years now. For instance, Congresswoman Ilhan Omar, Rashida Tlaib, who both have openly sided with terrorist organizations like Hamas, who are anti-Israel and hate Jewish people, who believe our military are terrorists, who hate law enforcement and want to defund the police, and who are both anti-American. Then we have Congresswoman Jasmine Ghetto Crockett, who's an openly unapologetic racist bigot on Hunter Biden crack. Cory Booker, Hankam Jeffries, Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, AOC, and many others that are pathological liars to their core. Now, if all that was not bad enough, could these Democrats in Congress stoop any lower? Well, yeah, they sure as hell can. Which is what got Donald Trump to make some mean tweets today and got Chuck Schumer's rainbow panties all up in a wad in the crack of his ass. How about actions that borderline treason? Insert Senator Alicia Slotkin, who is also a former CIA officer, Senator Mark Kelly, who is a former captain in the Navy and a former NASA astronaut, Congressman Chris DeLutzen, who is a former Navy lieutenant, Congresswoman Maggie Goodlander, who is a former CIA intelligence officer, Congresswoman Chrissy Houlihan, who is a former Air Force captain, and Congressman Jason Crow, who is a former Army Ranger captain. These incompetent morons put together a video telling our United States military members to disobey the orders of their commander-in-chief, aka the President of the United States. They believe in their subhuman lizard-sized brains that President Trump is breaking laws of America, breaking the laws of our Constitution, and outright issuing orders to our service members that they believe are unlawful when it comes to the National Guard being deployed to help support our border operations, law enforcement operations in Democrat-run shithole cities that are rampant with crime, protecting our federal buildings, supporting illegal criminal gang members, and fighting illegal drug smugglers, all of which have been labeled as terrorist organizations. They believe that Trump has ordered our troops and law enforcement officers, such as ICE, to arrest innocent American citizens on the streets of America. That's what they're telling their people and anybody that listens to them. These members of Congress are dead wrong. They're liars. They're incompetent. They shouldn't be there. And they're going to get some of our service members court-martialed, placed in prison, and dishonorably discharged with their actions. Their actions of putting out this shameful, disgusting, and borderline treasonous video that Donald Trump was responding to.
Slotkin.
Senator Mark Kelly.
Representative Chris Deluzio.
Congresswoman Maggie Goodlander.
Representative Chrissy Houlihan.
Congressman Jason Crow.
I was a captain in the United States Navy.
Former CIA officer.
Former Navy.
Former paratrooper and Army Ranger.
Former intelligence officer.
Former Air Force.
We want to speak directly to members of the military
And the intelligence community.
Who take risks each day
To keep Americans safe.
We know you are under enormous stress and pressure right now.
Americans trust their military.
But that trust is at risk.
This administration is pitting our uniformed military
And intelligence community professionals
against American citizens.
like us. You all swore an oath.
To protect and defend this Constitution.
Right now, the threats to our Constitution aren't just coming from abroad.
But from right here at home.
Our laws are clear. You can refuse illegal orders.
You can refuse illegal orders.
You must refuse illegal orders.
No one has to carry out orders that violate the law.
Or our Constitution.
We know this is hard.
And that it's a difficult time to be a public servant.
But whether you're serving in the CIA,
The Army.
Our Navy.
The Air Force.
Your vigilance is critical.
and know that we have your back.
Because now, more than ever,
The American people need you.
We need you to stand up for our laws.
Our Constitution.
And who we are as Americans. Don't give up.
Don't give up.
don't give up.
Don't give up the ship.
Now, that video calls Donald Trump to make a post on Truth Social that Chuck Schumer is all upset about. And so are the House Democrats and Senate Democrats. That was the post. There it is, folks. And then he followed it up with that one. Now, what Trump is wrong about, and the only thing he's wrong about, is the definitions. What he's calling seditious, that's not what happened. Okay? What happened is treason. Sedition, you don't get the death penalty. You get that for treason, though, or you could. So, Trump got it wrong as far as what they should have happened based on the video they did. For instance, this is seditious, conspiracy, up to 20 years in federal prison, not eligible for the death penalty. Trump didn't know that. But this is what they actually did. And that's what he meant to refer to. So let's break this down, shall we? For these dumbasses up in Washington, D.C. and their liberal talking heads at CNN and MSNBC and ABC, CBS, about what is the definition of treason. And I want you to first listen to this reporter in the White House briefing today and Caroline Leavitt's explanation, which is pretty spot on.
Thanks, Caroline. This morning, President Trump accused 6 Democratic lawmakers of seditious behavior punishable by death. Just to be clear, does the president want to execute members of Congress?
No. Let's be clear about what the president is responding to, because many in this room want to talk about the president's response, but not what brought the president to responding in this way. You have sitting members of the United States Congress who conspired together to orchestrate a video message to members of the United States military, to active duty service members, to members of the national security apparatus, encouraging them to defy the president's lawful orders. The sanctity of our military rests on the chain of command. And if that chain of command is broken, it can lead to people getting killed. It can lead to chaos. And that's what these members of Congress who swore an oath to abide by the Constitution are essentially encouraging. We have 1.3 active duty service members in this country. And if they hear this radical message from sitting members of Congress, that could inspire chaos, and it could incite violence, and it certainly could disrupt the chain of command. These 3 members of Congress, I will also add, knew exactly what they were doing. You look at Alyssa Slotkin, she's a former member of the CIA. Mark Kelly was a captain in the US Navy. Maggie Goodlander was a naval officer, and notably, she is also the wife of Joe Biden's national security former advisor, Jake Sullivan. And so these members knew what they were doing. They were leading into their credentials as former members of our military, as veterans, as former members of the national security apparatus to signal to people serving under this commander-in-chief, Donald Trump, that you can defy him and you can betray your oath of office. That is a very, very dangerous message, and it perhaps is punishable by law. I'm not a lawyer. I'll leave that to the Department of Justice and the Department of War to decide.
But the president has frequently, but Caroline, can I just follow up? The president and the vice president, for that matter, have accused the other side of encouraging political violence. Isn't that exactly what the president is doing when he says that members of Congress should be killed?
Why aren't you talking about what these members of Congress are doing to encourage and incite violence? They are literally saying to 1.3 million active duty service members not to defy the chain of command, not to follow lawful orders.
Actually,
every single
can refuse an illegal order, which
but
is
they're suggesting, Nancy, that the president has given illegal orders, which he has not. Every single order that is given to this United States military by this commander-in-chief and through this chain of command, through the Secretary of War, is lawful. And the courts have proven that. This administration has an unparalleled record at the Supreme Court because we are following the laws. We don't defy court orders. We do things by the books. And to suggest and encourage that active duty service members defy the chain of command is a very dangerous thing for sitting members of Congress to do. And they should be held accountable. And that's what the president wants to see.
That's very well put by Caroline. So the word treason is thrown around a lot. And a lot of people don't understand what that means. As far as what the Constitution says it means, each country has slightly different reasons or meanings of the word treason. We're going to talk about the American meaning of treason and why I believe that, although Donald Trump used the wrong word by saying punishable by death, that these senators, congressmen, women, committed treason. Article 3, Section 3 of the United States Constitution states, treason against the United States shall consist only in living war against them or inherent to their enemies, giving them aid and comfort. This means there are only 2 ways to commit treason in the United States. Living war against the United States. This includes taking up arms or organizing armed groups to fight the U.S. government, participating in an armed rebellion, using military forces to overthrow the government, or inherent to U.S. enemies and giving them aid and comfort. This means internationally helping a nation. The U.S. is actively at war with providing intelligence, weapons, or other material assistance, or acting with the intent to betray the United States, punishable for treason punishment under federal law 18 U.S.C. 2381. Treason is punishable by death or minimum of 5 years in prison, minimum, plus a fine of at least or not less than $10,000 and permanent disqualification from holding public office. Now that you understand what treason is, that these members of Congress commit treason with the video they put out. And I want to remind you, before we dive deeper into this, exactly what they said. Listen to what they're saying. After I started from the beginning, listen.
Senator Alyssa Slotkin.
Senator Mark Kelly.
Representative Chris Deluzio.
Congresswoman Maggie Goodlander.
Representative Chrissy Houlihan.
Congressman Jason Crow.
I was a captain in the United States Navy.
Former CIA officer.
Former Navy.
Former paratrooper and Army Ranger.
Former intelligence officer.
Former Air Force.
We want to speak directly to members of the military
And the intelligence community.
Who take risks each day.
To keep Americans safe.
We know you are under enormous stress and pressure right now.
Americans trust their military.
But that trust is at risk.
This administration is pitting our uniformed military
And intelligence community professionals
Against American citizens.
like us. You all swore an oath.
To protect and defend this Constitution.
And right now, the threats to our Constitution aren't just coming from abroad,
But from right here at home.
Our laws are clear. You can refuse illegal orders.
You can refuse illegal orders.
You must refuse illegal orders.
No one has to carry out orders that violate the law.
Or our Constitution.
We know this is hard.
And that it's a difficult time to be a public servant.
But whether you're serving in the CIA,
The Army.
Our Navy,
The Air Force.
Your vigilance is critical.
and know that we have your back.
Because now, more than ever,
The American people need you.
We need you to stand up for our laws.
our Constitution, and
And who we are as Americans. Don't give up.
don't give up.
don't give up.
Don't give up the ship.
Well, what they are referring to when they tell our military service members they don't have to follow unlawful orders, the Trump administration's war against illegal gang members that have been labeled and classified as terrorist organizations. In the military operations currently taking place off the coast of Venezuela against drug smuggling cartels by the same terrorist organizations. These members of Congress are saying that these are not terrorists. They told you they're American citizens, and therefore you should not follow the president's orders because it's unlawful. That is a lie. And they know damn good and well that it's a lie. They know these are terrorists and not American citizens. In fact, all the House and Senate Democrats are telling the American people that Trump is rounding up American citizens off the streets, not terrorists. That is a lie. And that the boats our military are striking off the coast of Venezuela are not cartel gang members that have been labeled as terrorists. They're just fishing vessels and recreational boaters. Another lie. So I say what these Democrats have done in this video is treason. Because they are asserting that our military members stand down and not follow legal orders to take out terrorists. Then, if they do that, they would be aiding and abetting the enemy, punishable by death. So, let's break down, shall we? When a U.S. service member believes an order is unlawful, there is a clear established procedure based on military law, regulations, and long-standing precedents. The key idea is service members must obey lawful orders and must refuse unlawful ones. But they must also handle the situation professionally and through the chain of command. The procedure, which every military service member is taught in basic training, is as follows. Number one, verify, clarify the order. Politely ask the issuing authority, the non-commissioned officer or the officer, to clarify the order if there is any doubt. This is not challenging the authority. It's ensuring you fully understand the task and whether it violates law or regulation. Number two, assess whether the order is clearly unlawful. An order is unlawful if it violates the Uniform Code of Military Justice, federal law, the United States Constitution, or international law. If it requires immoral or criminal conduct, for instance, harming non-combatants, falsifying records, or if it is not clearly unlawful, you're generally obligated to follow it and challenge it afterwards through proper channels, not disobey it. Then and only then, report the order through your chain of command. Go to the next higher officer or non-commissioned officer in your chain. If needed, proceed further up the chain of command. You must provide exactly what the order was, who gave the order, why did you believe the order is unlawful, and keep your statements factual and concise. Then request to speak with legal assistance or JAG. You have the right to counsel with JAG, the Judge Advocate General. You have the right to legal assistance for advice and protection. JAG can and will advise you on whether the order is unlawful. Your rights and potential UCMJ exposure and how to document the incident. Document everything. Write it down. Date, time, location, exact wording of the order, names of witnesses, your response to the superior's reaction, because this can be critical if the issue escalates. And if you're challenging the orders of the commander-in-chief, aka the President of the United States, trust me, you just escalated your actions to a level that you never knew could possibly exist. Now, if you still believe the order is unlawful after visiting your JAG office, you can use additional reporting channels if necessary. If the chain of command fails to address the issue or is involved, you can take it up to the Inspector General, the IG, the Equal Opportunity Office if relevant, the command hotline, which you already have the number to, the DoD IG hotline, which you already have the number to, or even the CID, NCIS, OSI, if the order involves criminal conduct. During all of this, you must continue to act professionally while the issue is being handled. Do not retaliate or escalate the problem. You must continue obeying all lawful orders. And you must avoid discussing the issue broadly, which means you do not have the right to post it on Facebook, Twitter, aka X, Instagram, or YouTube. All that being said, if your actions are based on what a member of the United States Congress told you is unlawful, and that, quote, they will have your back, then you should request to leave the military and find employment elsewhere. And there's a whole different level of actions to take for that to happen, but it can happen. Because we don't want service members that are far left liberal idiots with Trump derangement syndrome in uniform. Now, what these Congress members have done, hands down, is criminal at a minimum. And they should be held accountable for their actions by the Department of Justice. Will that happen? The way we've been watching shit happen with Democrats getting away with stuff, I doubt it. Encouraging a service member to disobey lawful orders is criminal. If a member of Congress urges a service member to disobey a lawful order of the president as commander-in-chief, the conduct could fall under federal criminal statutes, such as 18 U.S.C. 371, conspiracy to defraud or impair the United States. If the intent is to hinder or obstruct lawful government functions, military command, it could be followed under that statute. 18 U.S.C. 2387, anti-military sedation, counseling disloyalty. The statute makes it a crime to advise, counsel, or urge military personnel to refuse to perform their duties or to obstruct military loyalty and performance. Punishment can include up to 10 years in prison. 18 U.S.C. 2384, seditious conspiracy, which is what Trump called it, and said, oh, it's the death penalty if you did that. This applies only if there is a conspiracy to prevent, hinder, or delay the execution of U.S. law by force. The key legal question is whether the president's order is lawful or unlawful. If the president's order is unlawful, urging a service member not to comply then is not a crime. The order is lawful. Encouraging disobedience could fall under the statute above, particularly 18 U.S.C. 2387. And I assure you, 100% that these members of Congress, former CIA officers and officers of our military, know damn good and well that the President of the United States, Donald J. Trump, has not issued any unlawful orders to our military service members to date. As a former non-commissioned officer myself of the United States military and a former law enforcement officer, you can take that to the bank that I've just laid out for you. These members of Congress need to be arrested and charged for their conduct. Besides criminal, it's unbecoming of a member of our Congress. Now, do unlawful orders happen? Sure, but it's a rarity. In fact, during my career from 1985 to retirement in 2004, I never heard myself, nor heard anyone else talk about being given an unlawful order, or heard someone say that they heard someone say they received one, or knew of someone that received one. Now, I've read stories via history books and seen movies and documentaries of service members, for instance, during the Vietnam War, being told to fire on innocent women and children, which we refer to as non-combatants. That is an unlawful order. But for the President of the United States, the Commander-in-Chief of our United States military, to issue an unlawful order is unheard of. Why is that? The simple fact of what happens, as far as the stages per se of the order. When the president issues an order to the military, once the order is given by the president, it goes through the JAG to make sure it's lawful to start with. So attorneys look at it. Then, if they say it is, then it goes to the Secretary of Defense, who must make sure it's lawful. Then it goes to the Joint Chiefs of Staff of the Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, the National Guard, who verifies the orders are lawful or not. They're all 4-star generals. Then and only then does the order hit the field to be carried out. As a former Army non-commissioned officer, I'll break it down for you via the Army's chain of command and how that works. Once it goes from the president to the Secretary of Defense, the JAG offices, the Joint Chiefs of Staff, goes down to the brigade level, which is going to be 2 and 3 and 4-star generals. Then to the battalion level, typically 1-star generals and lieutenant commanders. Then to unit level commanders, typically lieutenant colonels and majors. Then to the platoon level, which is lieutenants. And in between all of them is the command sergeant majors of the Army. The command sergeant majors himself, the sergeant majors, the first sergeants, sergeant first class, the staff sergeants, and the sergeants. Then and only then is the order carried out. Bottom line here, approximately 1,000 plus military commissioned and non-commissioned officers and attorneys handle the president's order before it's officially placed into action. So if you think for 1 second that President Trump is issuing unlawful orders to our military based on what these members of Congress said in that video, then you are mentally challenged and should seek professional mental health care as soon as possible. Having our military fight against cartel gang members that have been labeled as terrorists is not an unlawful order. Whether they're fighting them in the streets of Chicago or off the coast of Venezuela. And what these fucking morons are saying is that the orders are unlawful in their little pea brains because they're not terrorists, they're American citizens that they're being told to go after. That is 100% bullshit. And they know it is. I'm calling on Pam Bondi and the Department of Justice to hold them accountable for their treasonous actions. And as I told you earlier, Trump mistyped. What he meant to say was they're guilty of treason, not sedation. That being said, let's look at his tweet again. This is really bad and dangerous to our country. Their words cannot be allowed to stand. Seditious behavior from traitors. Lock them up. President Donald J. Trump. Followed by seditious behavior, punishable by death. What he meant to say was treason, punishable by death. And what they did was treason, punishable by death. Which, by the way, is the exact same thing that Joe Biden is guilty of. Treason. When Joe Biden had the withdrawal of Afghanistan go to shit in a handbasket and allowed more American service members to be killed, American citizens to be left behind on that battlefield, and billions of dollars of our military equipment to fall into the hands of our enemy, the Taliban, is aiding and abetting the enemy. That's treason. President Joe Biden could be sentenced to death for that action. Let's look at Barack Hussein Obama, another treasonous bastard. When he traded one United States Army deserter who deserted his unit in Afghanistan to join the fucking Taliban, when he traded for him, gave them 5 terrorists that we had in custody, responsible for the death of American service members, and billions of dollars in cash. That is treason, aiding and abetting the enemy, punishable by death. Now, for those of you that have been watching this podcast for a long time now, you already heard me call out Joe Biden for being a treasonous bastard and Barack Hussein Obama as well. Because what they did was treason. And when Republicans have the opportunity, the White House, the Senate, the Department of Justice, the FBI, to hold them accountable for treason, they didn't fucking do it. They turned tail and didn't do shit. Which is why I don't expect them to do a damn thing to these members of Congress that have just committed a treasonous act against our country. And that, my friends, is pathetic and sad. I'm calling on the House and Senate Republicans. Some of them are personal friends of mine. Some that live right here in my town. To have a fucking backbone and stand up to these bastards. We watched them do everything in their power to include lying their ass off to put Donald J. Trump in jail to stop him from becoming president. They made up shit. They have no morals, no values. They're horrible, hateful human beings. They're subhuman. The Democrats up in Congress. And it is time that the Republicans up in Congress stand up to these bastards. Stand up to the AOCs, the Jasmine Crockett's, the Alejandro Mars, the Rashida Tlaibs, the Cory Bookers, the Hankam Jeffries, Chuck fucking Schumer. And put them in their place once and for all. Instead of sitting back and not doing a damn thing about it. Fuck that. Have a little bit of alpha energy in you and do something to these fuckers. Hold them accountable, put them in fucking jail. You have the authority to do that. What they've done is criminal. What we watch them do to Donald Trump is criminal. Fucking Chuck Schumer has the damn nerve to come out today on the floor of the House and call out Donald Trump for mentioning what these senators did in this video? Is adding fuel to the fire and he's responsible for what's happening in America? The Democrats are the ones doing that. It's It's the Democrat Party in Washington, D.C. that are calling us fascists and Nazi-like and bigots and racists. And they're the ones that are causing these fucking idiot liberals in the streets of America to act up and do stupid shit to people. It's not Donald Trump doing that. Fuck you, Chuck Schumer. Fuck you, Hankam Jeffries. You bunch of weasel little motherfuckers. And if the Department of Justice doesn't get involved and do something to these motherfuckers, then fuck you too. I do not serve this country and watch my brothers and sisters fucking die on the goddamn battlefields for you motherfuckers to just shit on the Constitution and allow these motherfuckers to get away with what they're getting away with. Fuck that. If you don't have a set of fucking balls, God damn it, get out of Congress and let somebody go in there that does. I told you a long time ago, folks, that if we win back the House and the Senate and 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, it wasn't over with. It was far from over with. Then we have to hold Republicans accountable. And that's what I'm doing right fucking now. I'm challenging you tomorrow. Pick up the phone, call your members of Congress, call your elected officials, and demand that they do something to these fucking Democrats up in Washington, D.C. They're the problem with this country. They are the reason this country is divided literally in half. They are the ones that are responsible for the hatred, for the violence, for Antifa, for BLM. I mean, for crying out loud, let's look at some of the shit. For instance, that Alejandro Omar, with her fucking raghead that's wrapped too tight, has said, and the Democrats have done nothing about it, and the Republicans have done nothing about it to hold her accountable for it. It's all about the Benjamins, baby. Omar tweeted in reference to congressional support for Israel. This was widely criticized by Republicans, but that's about it. And Jewish Americans is invoking anti-Semitic tropes about Jewish influence and money. Alliance to a foreign country remark. In a political forum, she said, I want to talk about the political influence in this country. America that says it is okay to push for alliance to a foreign country. She was questioning whether some U.S. politicians' loyalty was to Israel rather than the U.S. Omar tweeted, Israel has hypnotized the world. May Allah awaken the people and help them see the evil doings of Israel. Equating U.S. and Israel with Hamas and the Taliban, she said, we have seen unthinkable atrocities committed by the United States and its military and Hamas and Israel and Afghanistan and the Taliban. She linked us in with the fucking terrorist. Her 9/11 comment, some people did something. She remarked about the 9/11 incident instead of referring to those people as who they were. Radical Islamic Muslim terrorist. And to me, as a combat veteran and having brothers that I personally know that served in Operation Gothic Serpent, saying that the real terrorist during Operation Gothic Servant, the Battle of Mogadishu in Somalia, when the Black Hawk Down incident took place, the real terrorists that day were the United States military. That's a member of our Congress. Her, Rashida Tlaib, and AOC showing up on college campuses across this country, chanting support for Hamas in Palestine and Gaza over Israel. Republicans, you have control of everything right now. Did you forget all the shit I just talked about? Have you forgotten everything I just mentioned? You have fucking amnesia? Now, since we're mentioning Ilhan Omar and her radical Islamic terrorism beliefs over Americans, a prominent global research center has released a comprehensive report on what it says is a multi-generational campaign by the Muslim Brotherhood to transform Western society from within and covertly infiltrated the United States. I've been telling you this for several years now, way before they put out this 200-page report today. It was released by the Institution for Study of Global Anti-Semitism and Policy. Draws from International Brotherhood documents right here in America, such as the 1982 project and the 1991 explanatory memorandum. It makes the case that Western freedoms have been systematically leveraged to advance Islamic ideology goals as the group continues its 5-decade plan to embed itself in the United States. They took over Dearborn, Michigan. They're taking over New York. They're in our Congress. I've got a friend right now down in Texas that said, Doug, you need to come down here and see this shit. There's so many mosques all over the Houston area. Women are walking in the streets in full burqas as if you were seeing them in Afghanistan, in Houston, fucking Texas. The Muslim Brotherhood, an Islamic organization founded in Egypt, has gained access to government agencies, been involved in advising American civil rights policies, infiltrated educational institutions in America, and created a vast social media footprint, the report says. According to the report, the Muslim Brotherhood allegedly targeted U.S. government agencies for infiltration, including the United States Department of Homeland Security, and Department of Justice through career appointments and advisory roles. Currently, as I fucking speak. The report dives deep into the alleged terror ties within the group, along with various funding sources from places like Qatar, while making the case that both Al-Qaeda and the Brotherhood share the strategic aim of establishing an Islamic State government by Sharia, and differing only in tactics, where the Brotherhood's guardianism allows it to maintain ideological continuing with militant jihadists while avoiding direct confrontation. The report calls on the United States to designate the Muslim Brotherhood as a terrorist organization. Are you listening, President Trump? We're now 50 years into the Brotherhood's 100-year plan to enrich themselves into key institutions in the United States and other Western societies to undermine and destroy our democracy. Dr. Charles Asher Small, founding director of ISGAP and co-author of the report, said, "This is not simply a political movement, but a transnational ideological project that adapts itself to Western systems while working to undermine them. The Brotherhood has learned to use the very freedoms of democracy as a tool to erode it from within, exploiting the tolerance and openness of liberal societies as strategic and vulnerabilities." This report lays out how and what must be done to defend our democracy here in America. Designation as a terrorist organization is essential to safeguard our freedom and way of life, and we must deal with the damage that has already been done in America. Earlier this week, Texas Governor Greg Abbott designated the Council on American Islamic Resolutions, CAR, and the Muslim Brotherhood as foreign terrorist and transnational criminal organizations, preventing both groups from obtaining land in Texas. Abbott said in a statement that he made the move as the Muslim Brotherhood and CAR have long made their goals clear: to forcibly impose Sharia law and establish Islam mastership of the world. The actions taken by the Muslim Brotherhood and CAR to support terrorism across the globe and subvert our laws through violence, intimidation, and harassment are unacceptable. Today, I designate the Muslim Brotherhood and CAR as foreign terrorist organizations and transnational criminal organizations, Abbott added. These radical extremists are not welcome in the state of Texas, are now prohibited from acquiring any real estate property interest in Texas. He said in his statement, CAR, who is mentioned multiple times in the report, said the group consistently condemned all forms of unjust violence, including hate crimes, ethnic cleansing, genocide, and terrorism. The report named multiple elected politicians as potentially advancing the Muslim Brotherhood's goals within the government. The election and re-election of Congresswomen as Alihan Omar and Rashida Tlaib, who have openly defended positions aligned with the Muslim Brotherhood's perspective on Israel, counterterrorism, and international relations, demonstrates the interaction of identity politics and brotherhood narratives, the report states. While neither Congresswoman has a documented formal affiliation with the Muslim Brotherhood, both have appeared at events organized by the Muslim Brotherhood, aligned organizations, and have received campaign support from the Muslim Brotherhood and their aligned donors, and have consistently advocated positions aligned with the Muslim Brotherhood's objectives. In a press release, they warned that the Brotherhood's network are not self-sustaining. They're nourished by a state that exports and worldview their funding, education, and media influence, and that the United States must act now with clarity and courage to protect both its values and its Muslim citizens from the ideology hijacking. In terms of next steps, they say that the terrorist designation is a positive step, but not enough, and is working on a joint declaration from dozens of scholars and policymakers calling on Congress to act. As someone who has studied and witnessed the Muslim Brotherhood's operations firsthand, I can say with confidence that this is not the radical threat. Dalia Zaya, the ISGAP Washington coordinator, research fellow, and co-author of the report, said, last week, I shared with you video of thousands of Muslims in the streets of New York and in Dearborn, Michigan, calling for jihad against us. Right here in America. I shared with you videos of Muslim clerics in their mosque, right here in America, calling for the overtake of America and for Sharia law. And what are we doing about it? Pam Bondi, Kash Patel, President Trump. What are we doing about it? Why are they not in prison right now? Not only have I shared the videos of them saying this, so has every other person on the right on YouTube and Rumble. Fox News has even shown it to you. What are you doing about it? Nothing. Nothing. Well, I said this last week, and I'll say it again tonight. If it comes down to it, and you refuse to take action, we already know what the Democrats are going to do. We already know the Democrat leadership up in Washington, D.C. 100% supports radical Islamic Muslim terrorists. Hands down. They don't even try and fucking hide it. If they ever get back in control again, which is exactly what the Muslim Brotherhood wants to see happen, along with Rashida Tlaib and Ali Omar, and the new mayor of New York, and the mayor of Dearborn, Michigan. Democrats ever get back in power again, they're going to allow it to happen. And then you're going to see thousands of American, United States military veterans take back this country. That is not a threat. That is a motherfucking promise. Because I'll be damned if me or any of my other brothers and sisters that served in those shithole fucking countries to keep those bastards from coming here and taking over this one are going to sit back and watch it go down. We took an oath to defend this country against enemies, foreign and domestic. We've already fought the foreign wars. And now the enemy is right here in the United States of America. So I'm calling on our government to step the fuck up and stop them. Start arresting these people that we're sharing with you. We're showing you them. I shared the videos of them doing it and saying it. And do the exact same thing with these radical fucking Democrats up in Washington, D.C. that just put out a video explaining to our military members that Trump is issuing unlawful orders to attack terrorist organizations and claiming that they're American citizens. Why are they not in fucking jail right now? Until the penalties outweigh the actions, they don't stop. They continue. Look no further than BLM and Antifa in these liberal Democrat cities where they don't do anything with them. They don't do nothing. They just let them fucking burn and loot and tear shit up apart. They're emboldening them. And that's exactly what we're doing. Wake up, Republicans in Congress. Wake the fuck up now and do something. Or get the fuck out and let somebody else get in there that can or will. You had many places you could be tonight. You chose to be here with me, and for that, I am forever grateful. I thank you very, very much. If anything breaks of major importance between now and next Tuesday, I'll either do a video about it or I will do a live show. I do have a video that will be coming out tomorrow that I want you to watch. I hope you will watch it. It explains to you in detail that you're being lied to by the Democrat Party about the prices of goods across this country and how Donald Trump's not bringing the prices down. The video will prove to you that they're fucking liars. The prices aren't down in Democrat-run states because they're jacking the prices up on fucking purpose. And it's going to spell it out very, very simple. Whatever you're doing this weekend, I hope that you remember that we are so far from being safe in our country. Watch your six. Watch your family. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris allowed open borders and allowed radical Muslim terrorists to come into this country. We heard from Joe Biden's own FBI director, Christopher Wray, that what kept him up the most at night was knowing that many radical Islamic Muslim terrorists that were sent here to America and came across our southern border, they weren't able to catch. And they're running free right now in our country, and they're trying to find them and catch them and get them off our streets before it's too late. It's not if another 9/11 happens. It's when and where will it happen, and how many Americans are going to die because of it. Thanks to the Democrats up in Washington, D.C. Thanks to Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, and Barack Hussein Obama. They're responsible for it. They committed treason. And now Republicans have the opportunity to finish this shit once and for all and save this country. And I expect them to do that. If they don't, somebody will. And it's going to be really fucking ugly. As always, please say a prayer for our men and women serving in the United States military, our veterans, our law enforcement officers, our first responders, their families, our angel families, our blue and gold star families in our country. May God bless the United States of America and help us root out the evils in Washington, D.C. and all across this great nation before it's too damn late. Good night, my friends. Please, when this show's over tonight and it goes up as a regular video in about 25 minutes, share it far and wide on your social media platforms, because every American needs to be aware of the dangers in our own country. Have a wonderful and blessed evening and a wonderful and blessed weekend. And I'll see you next Tuesday.